Good evening. Welcome to the August 12th, 2024 West Clermont School Board meeting. I call it to order. Mr. Romano, will you take roll, please?
Mr. Patton.
Present.
Mr. Chumley.
Yes.
Ms. Sanborn.
Present.
Mrs. Spencer.
Present.
And Mr. Rudy let us know that he'll be absent this evening, so 4 present.
Thank you. Will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Up next is the motion to adopt the agenda. I will put that in the form of a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Chumley. Is there any discussion? Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Patton.
Yes.
Mr. Chumley.
Yes.
Ms. Sanborn.
Yes.
Mrs. Spencer.
Yes.
4 yes.
Thank you. There are no public speaking, so we'll move into backpacks for school highlights.
Back to school highlights, which are including backpacks. And it keeps funny you say that, because that's part of it. Do you have the clicker?
I will get that right now.
Or you can just click for her. There's not that many.
No, she should take it.
Remember,
This is part of the initiation.
remember to plug this USB in so it'll work this time. And let's try it. See if that works.
Go get it up there.
It takes about 10 minutes to actually work.
There we go.
Oh, there you go.
You have to eat your words now, Michael Chumley.
I'll gladly eat those
There we go.
words.
Look at that. Okay.
It'll mess up soon.
Hello, I'm Becky Golden, the new Public Information Officer for the district. We've had a really busy week with a lot of great opportunities and events to engage with the community, so we just wanted to showcase some of those. First of all was Police Night Out. We were part of Police Night Out in 3 different communities this past week, including Batavia, Pierce, and Union Townships. This was a great opportunity for students and families to meet and engage with the educators here in West Clermont. We also had the new teacher orientation. Last Wednesday, the administration met with the new teachers here in the district. This year, the district has 80 new teachers. This is the photo that we snapped at the end of it, and it's actually done really, really well on Facebook, which just goes to show how much the community rallies around our teachers here in the district. This was a really special event. This was the whole Learner Network and our community partners came together on Saturday, August 3rd, to provide students with who have the greatest need with things like clothes, backpacks, supplies, haircuts, all to ensure that these students are ready for back to school. We had about 475 students attend this event, and so we really want to thank our partners for breaking down the barriers to learning. We also had our first town hall of the year. It was the Blazing New Trails Town Hall to talk about the strategic plan through 2030. And despite it being summer, we had a great turnout, including parents, residents, community partners. We saw a lot of new faces and answered a lot of new questions about the buildings and modern learning environments. And we have more planned for September and October. And then on Thursday, we held the community advisory team meeting to discuss the facilities. This also had a great turnout, and members of the team will be presenting their findings to the board at the next meeting on August 26th.
If I can make one comment.
Sure.
I attended the event on Saturday, and that was a great turnout.
Yes.
Us reaching out to the communities, and just to kind of piggyback what you said, I appreciate all of the vendors that were there. It was a huge turnout. Our resource coordinator did a great job getting
Yes.
all of that stuff together. She did a great job getting it put together. She put a lot of time in that, and I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
You back to, oh, I'll need it next though.
Sorry.
That's right. Thanks. Yes.
Okay. Moving next to the consent agenda, we will start with personnel.
Good evening. In front of you is the personnel agenda for August 12th, 2024. On the agenda today, we have the retirement of Sue Pettigrew, a district custodian. She's been with us for 7 years. We also have the resignations of 6 teachers, 1 campus coordinator, 9 paraprofessional aides, and 2 cafeteria workers. This agenda also includes the rescinding of contracts for 3 teachers. This agenda includes the proposed hiring of Cassidy Crooks, the Director of Payroll. She is in the audience tonight, so I want to make sure you get an opportunity to meet her afterwards. She's replacing Kayla McAtee as the Payroll Director. We're also hiring 1 elementary special education coach, 1 school psychologist, 8 teachers, 3 cafe workers, 1 paraprofessional aide, 5 part-time paraprofessional aides, 2 part-time office assistants. It also includes the proposed reassignment of 1 office assistant to a full-time paraprofessional aide. And the agenda also includes proposed extended days for a pre-K teacher to do some work over the summer, a special ed coach, and a dean. On this agenda, we have the proposed approval for salary placements for those teachers continuing education. We're always excited about the teachers going back and getting more knowledge and then bringing that back to their students. So we had 2 move from a bachelor's to a master's degree this past year, and 7 move from just a master's to either a master's plus 15 or a master's plus 30. That's 15 or 30 credit hours beyond the master's. So we're very excited about that continued learning for our staff. On this agenda, we also have the proposed approval for supplemental contracts for multiple home tutors, wellness champions, color guard choreography, LPDC personnel, building leadership teams, elementary and secondary lead mentors, athletic contest workers, marching band director, West Clermont Alpha director, West Clermont Winter Guard director, athletic facilities coordinators, multiple coaches, and multiple band support. Included in this agenda is also the proposed approval for 1 unpaid leave of absence and classified substitute personnel and multiple volunteers and student teachers. On this agenda, we have adding 2 part-time pre-K paraprofessional aides to Summerside and a reclassification of 1 campus coordinator FTE to a 1 school family community liaison FTE. And finally, in the work beyond the contract section of the proposed approval for payments that go to enrollment and district support, gifted intervention support, HQIM ambassadors, new teacher orientation attendance, benchmark advanced training, CPI training, science of reading completion, and assignment change preparation. This concludes the review of the personnel agenda submission for your consideration.
Bus routes.
Bus routes, so each fall or in August, we have to approve our bus routes by the board, and you have those, you'll see those in your board agenda. Our bus routes cover 54 square miles. I won't read through the 7,000 different things that are in that spreadsheet, but you notice that there'll be 75 bus routes is basically what we have, with 12 midday routes going. Our earliest time is 5:56 a.m. I just want to put that out there because we're going to be talking a lot about start time in the near future, and then our last student gets off at 5:21. So those are going to be conversations as we move forward when we start talking about master facility plan as we move forward. So just we have to pass that, and then we also have 2 agreements for food services are on there to the ESC, Clermont Educational Collaborative, as well as St. Bernadette. The collaborative is about 60 to 80 meals, and then St. Bernadette somewhere between 60 and 100, depending on different enrollment. So we ask you to approve those contracts as well.
So item 6.04 is request for approval of minutes, and those are for the minutes of the July 8, 2024 regular business meeting. Item 6.05 is request for approval of donations to the district. I'll read these briefly. First was from Burger Farms, donated a plant to Wickhamsville Tabasco Elementary. And then there were several donations from organizations for the town halls, for items for the town hall. Those were from Clermont County Sheriff's Office, Fairfax Credit Union, Jeff Weiler Automotive, Jungle Gyms, Sibsy Klein Realtors, an anonymous donor, Peterman Busing, and then Mercy Hospital Clermont also donated, and Clermont County Public Library. So those last lists were donations for items for the town halls. Item 6.06 are contracts. It's requested for the board approve and authorize the superintendent and treasurer to negotiate and execute contracts as presented, and those contracts are for, and I'll list those: Allerton, the Allerton West Clermont Agreement, Hamilton County ESC, Neola, which does our board policy and administrative guidelines, Pro Force Sports Performance, Food Handler Solutions, Crisis Prevention Institute, CC Dentistry, CECN Agreement, and then St. Bernadette Agreement. And so those, is requested that those, that the superintendent treasurer be allowed to negotiate and execute those agreements. Item 6.07 are the financial statements, the bills paid lists, and the investments, and those were for the month of June, ending June 30th, 2024, which is our fiscal year end. The July financials will be in the August 26th meeting. And so it is requested on the consent agenda, approval for item 6.01 through 6.07.
Thank you, Ms. Romano. You've heard the recommendation. Would someone like to make a motion? Mr. Chumley, thank you. Ms. Sample, would you like to second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Okay, thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Chumley,
Yes.
Ms. Sanborn,
Yes.
Mrs. Spencer,
Yes.
Mr. Patton.
Yes.
4 yes. Thank you.
Good evening. If you recall, earlier in the spring, April, May-ish, we brought to you our English Language Arts course of study. At the time, we did not bring an instructional resource for preschool, and it's because the state of Ohio was a bit delayed in releasing their approved instructional resources, their approved curriculum. So we wanted to make sure that we are in alignment with the state of Ohio and that we didn't make a decision to adopt a resource that then later ended up not being approved. So our team had been doing research and studying alongside of our grade level, their school-age colleagues. And so tonight, we're just asking, I'm just sharing information with you that the curriculum that we are requesting be adopted. It will be not at this board meeting, but at our next board meeting, similar to what we did with our school-age curriculum, where there's a 30-day window of time in between meetings. Actually, in this case, it's just between this meeting and the next meeting. But we're requesting approval for, it's called Pre-K On My Way. It's a product published by Scholastic. And like I said, it is on the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce. It is on their approved list. And just to highlight a few pieces about Pre-K On My Way, in the approval from the state, the Department of Education, some of the things that they highlighted were the focus on developing oral language and vocabulary through evidence-based developing talkers method. They really want students engaged in conversation, which is very much in alignment with how we know students develop their receptive vocabulary skills, is by like listening to sounds and then engaging in talking about those. It helps to develop vocabulary comprehension and speaking. Additionally, they talked about the focus on integrating play. As you know, at the preschool age, play is a really important part of their education, and so Pre-K On My Way really encourages a lot of different methods of play that helps to not only develop their literacy skills, but helps them to interact with one another in small group, whole group, and individual centers, independent centers as well. And then there are a lot of resources to support the needs of diverse learners. whether it be English learners, students with disabilities, gifted and talented students. It really is designed to meet the needs of all learners in preschool. So next meeting, I'll come back to you seeking approval. If in the meantime you'd like to explore any of the resources, feel free to reach out to me, and I'll make those available to you or anyone else in our community. Thank
So
you.
you have the resources now?
Well, we have them on loan. We,
Like
you
a
know,
sample
similar
to
to
look at.
like sample resources.
Gotcha.
So if you'd like to review any of those, we'd be happy to help you with that.
I would.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 7.02 is the West Clermont Roadmap Report, Volume 6. So as Dan gets that ready, this is Blazing New Trails, and it's a roadmap report that was released earlier in the summer digitally out to everyone. So it's on our website. If you just go to our story, you can go down to Roadmap Reports and see Volume 6. This is unique. This is a unique one in that it is written from the future. So it is written in such a way that everything that we've been planning to do has already happened because we're in 2030. So it's a unique little take. As I tell a little bit of the story, I just want to point out this symbol to you there. That you're going to start seeing that a little bit more. That's the emblem or the icon that we're going to use for our strategic plan, Blazing New Trails. And you'll see that the three colors there, red, yellow, and blue, are representing the pathways that the Citizens Advisory Commission talked to you about. So yellow being the largest arrow there, and the most important one is for core foundational skills and making sure that our students are mastering those. And the red and blue each represent the other paths that we think are very important. One being the whole WC Your Future, so that students are getting opportunities beyond the classroom and beyond the walls of the school and exploring their career interests. And the blue is about knocking down barriers, just like the event that Mrs. Golden was talking about earlier. It's about making sure that students have barriers to their learning knocked out of the way through our partnerships so that they can be in a learning environment that's like free of worry and concern of life's basic needs. So it's all of that coming together to show the journey of the student. This is volume 6, and what we are saying here, it's transitioning. We are shutting down the road. This is the last roadmap report because, as you know, metaphorically, we're shifting to a trailhead or to a pathway. And that was strategically done as part of our citizens advisory process to say, we're not on a road that's fixed and one size fits all. We want pathways for students so that it's a unique experience for each one of them that is based on them. And it really creates meaningful learning experiences that prepare them for higher education opportunities and employment beyond their post-graduation. And this whole plan was really created by West Clermont staff and the Citizens Advisory Commission listening and learning together and looking to the future. And so anything that you see inside of this report is reflective of all the data and information that we've gathered and synthesized and put together into a plan.
Was the new emblem somewhat based off of our?
They're graphic, and you'll see that come up in here in a minute. And as soon as you see it, you'll remember it from last time. And I forgot to mention, you guys, I gave you a copy of the volume 6 at your side, so if you want to flip through any of those pages, you can.
Is that the holographic view?
I know, it's so scad, like, my daughter saw this and she was mortified. I'm like, I gotta get off this slide quickly.
It's from the future.
It is, it's from the future. It's me, I'm like, wrinkles. No, it's 2030, from the future, telling the story. So, yes, thanks for noticing. All right. What we did find, especially during the journey of a student map, is that everyone agrees that the purpose of school, the main thing, is truly to make sure that our students are future ready. And so the CAC really took this and ran with it. So, Michael, do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
That roadmap there was kind of their way. Well, I'm calling it a roadmap, but it's really a pathway map to show we don't want it to be one size fits all. We want to make sure that there are benchmark moments along the way and experiences that are true throughout, no matter which school you go to, so that it's not rigid, but that you're just not lucky that you get to go to this school and have these experiences, or you're lucky you have Mrs. So-and-so, but that all kids in West Clermont have a supportive, multi-tiered system of supports through the whole learner network, and they have opportunities to stretch beyond the walls of the school and really explore their interests and their talents so that they can be all that they want to be when they graduate. So a special thank you to the Citizens Advisory Commission and to Ellie specifically. She did a wonderful job. She had so many topics to kind of wrangle and to simplify and make sense to our parents and our community members and staff members that are on the team, and she just did an amazing job synthesizing and pulling it all together so that we could get to the finish line in May where you guys were adopting the plan. This team really focused, oh, it just turned off. This team focused on school purpose and design. This was their research topic that you guys had assigned them. And the report kind of goes into the details that they learned. And again, it's written in past tense, so you can see that the ideas that were shaped in the CAC meetings really did impact how classrooms were designed and how student experiences were created. The CAC process led right into a deep dive into our core realities that we were facing as a school system. And it's hard for you guys to see that print, but if you were looking at the volume, you would see it reiterated that, during this time back in 2024, we were dealing with an educator shortage, advancements in technology, mental health crisis, a decline in kids ready for higher education and being ready for that college, and really employers saying they don't have the skill sets to meet the demands of what today's workforce needs, and school safety are just some of the things that the CAC wrestled with. And so they said that in solving these challenges, that it was important for us to continue to realize that when you focus on learning, when you focus on the workforce, and you focus on partnerships, you can't ignore facilities, because all three of those things play off each other. And one being really strong and another one being weak, they're interconnected, and they kind of rise and fall with each other. And so that's kind of where we transitioned to, and that's why the CAT team was so important. CAT stands for Community Advisory Team, who stepped in starting in February of this year, really looking at how can we build a plan that's fiscally responsible, that is educationally fantastic, and it was really driven by community. So again, this process is as if it already happened in the past tense as it's written. And what you see then are based on the community coming together and building out the 2030 plan, there's a series of success stories from a West Clermont first grader all the way to educators in our community, partners in our community, all telling their story. I won't give them away today, so I encourage you to take a peek. But it's to show that because we put important things in place in 2024, then the fruits of our labor came to be in 2030. So that's what that piece is about. And then finally, the roadmap report just highlights the 3 Ps of our strategic plan, and that is a focus on pathways and performance, people, and place. Everything that we're doing is really about modernizing our school in these key areas we keep talking about. So you'll see in there details about modernizing our curriculum, expanding authentic assessment, increasing our ability to do portrait into practice across every single classroom, not just in some classrooms, modern literacies across the curriculum, and multi-tiered systems of support, personalized pathways for educators so that the kinds of learning experiences they have also mimic what we want to see happen in their classrooms, school safety and well-being addressed, and transportation and start time being addressed in this plan. And clearly, to support all of this, a focus on finances. So we are, through this plan, we created a 2030 financial plan, which is in the works right now, right? We're working on a draft. So again, you might get a kick out of reading from the future and having one of those, back to the future kind of moments, but our goal is to shift out of the road onto the pathways, and the next report that we do will be in December, and it'll be the first,
I knew it was gonna happen.
it'll be the first Trailblazer report in December that will speak to all the things that we've accomplished since the school year kicked off. And I will talk more about those details in my comments here in just a second. So I'll pause there just to see, oh, thanks. If you have any questions about the roadmap report, volume 6, and again, just want to encourage people to take a look at it. You'll need to take a minute. It's not short, but it really does capture what happened all year long and what we see as the future of West Clermont.
How will this be distributed?
Right now, it's electronic. You can get it right on our website under the Our Story section. There's a section called Roadmap Reports. It's the very first volume listed there. We do print some copies of these. We don't massively distribute those, but we'll have them like in the offices at the buildings.
Yeah,
Those
that'd be
are,
a
will
pretty
be
big
printed.
undertaking.
Yeah, it's a big undertaking, so that's why we think the information is more important. So we'll send it, what will happen through social media is they will take bite-sized pieces of it and send it out and just direct people back here. So just to kind of keep it top of mind over the course of the next couple weeks.
That's great.
So, anybody else?
My statement is I just appreciate the work that you've put into this, you and your team, and Mr. Romano, because this is not a small undertaking. This has been huge.
Yeah, and
So
it's just important to us to be transparent about it. I mean, we've been saying all along, this is where we are, this is what we're looking into right now, and this is where we're headed next. And so this just continues that, so,
I like the approach too. It's cool.
thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You
So-
look good on the back page too.
Well, and there is, I have to say, there is a special section there of the Board of Education, because the truth is, like, none of this is possible without your leadership and guidance, and your willingness to make hard decisions, because nothing great comes out of just hitting the easy button. There are hard decisions all along this path, and you guys having courage to do that is currently making a difference and will make a difference in our school district, so thank you for that. Now, just to segue a little bit to superintendent comments, I have quite a few here since it's the beginning of the year. I want to welcome everybody back. Our staff came back today. We have our students on the ready. They'll start phasing in on Thursday. And of course, our families have mixed emotions. It's an expensive time of year. People have been shopping and spending a lot of money, and it can be stressful trying to make sure you're checking all the boxes for back to school. So we're just very thankful for everybody's efforts. Now, there's two communications today. One has already gone out to families, and it's about our mental health services. We've been able, through really creative work with our team, led by Eric Duell, we've been able to expand our mental health services. So that came out in a communication to our families today, so they would know a little bit about it. We are so grateful for Child Focus, which has been a partner for years and years and years. They are remaining a top partner for us. But to support the efforts, we're going to expand to two other agencies also working with us. We have NECO as well as Best Point. And kind of depending on if you're in elementary or middle school or high school will depend on which agency is focused there. More and more information will come out, but it's an amazing opportunity to have one therapist at least in every single school, with 2 support case managers working with them, and that's all elementary. And then, of course, it's about double that when you look at both the middle school and the high school. So as we begin through this process, we had a question in our surveys to say, okay, parents, as we're, there are shortages in mental health providers across the nation. We're struggling with this. Is this a topic you want us to continue to pursue and continue to look at, knowing that it's going to be really hard and it could be expensive? And the answer to that survey question was yes, like it was a high yes, like we need help. And so this is really a great evidence of the district listening and answering the call, expanding those services. And so we're going to be packed in a little bit like sardines as the new staff come in, needing to find nooks and crannies for them to be able to offer their services. But our principals, as always, are stepping up and being creative and making the spaces that we need to create these wraparound services for kids in need. So this will be for any student who has the need with the parent permission. This is not a full out, this is therapy for everyone. It's not that kind of service, but it is in place for students and families who want to activate it. So that's that. Also, probably any minute now or within the hour, families will get their information about transportation. So that's a big topic on everyone's mind. They'll find out their bus routes. And our encouragement is just to keep looking at it, because as you heard Dr. Fultz tonight giving changes in staffing, like numbers are rolling in, and we plan up to we continue working on it to the last minute just to get it right. So take a look at the app and find out your bus route. And then next, we have Leader in Me training. And I know you guys have been hearing about it. This is for our entire school system. We finally are able to deliver in our vision, together as one community, we learn, lead, and succeed. We have a district-wide plan, PK through 12, all students and staff, to be developed in Leader in Me training. And it's a leadership development program to help us really fulfill that side of our vision and to bring Portrait of a Graduate to life in new ways that we didn't even imagine. And this is all based in Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And so it's incredibly well-researched and vetted internationally. This is material that's used. And so because of a grant we got it, half the cost of what it would normally cost, and brought an investment to this school district that I think will be invaluable and pay dividends for years and years and years. Because no matter if students are going to be the president of their class, a leader in their sorority, a shift leader at McDonald's, a mom or a dad in their household, a CEO of a company, a lead medical professional, whatever they're going to do, leadership is going to come into play. And so leadership isn't about a title. Leadership is about skill sets. And so we want to make sure that the competitive advantage at West Clermont is that when kids have experiences here, we are incorporating leadership development and personal development into that. And so we are very excited, very proud. And so with that, a big caution for everyone, because this involves everybody, it's going to take a big lift. We'll be closing all offices tomorrow. So for an intensive day of training for our entire staff, offices in West Clermont will be closed, but we'll be back in action on Wednesday. Okay? And then we talked about engagement all evening long, starting with Ms. Golden here as she shared the highlights of this week. I want to just make sure that this is the time we have to double down on engagement and communication and making sure that all of our stakeholders are aware of what's going on. So we have some things coming up. Number one, we're going to be communicating about focus groups. We want community members to be a part of it. We want our staff to be a part of it. And we especially want parents who are in those early years, pre-K to 3rd grade. A lot of the decisions we're making have the most impact on the littles of the school district. So we want to make sure those parents are very highly informed and pause in their life just to spend some time with us and give us their opinion. So there'll be some schedules for focus groups. We'll continue with tours, and we'll have town halls. And here's our first one that everyone can put on their calendar. Our first one is September. Well, this is our second one, actually. Our second one is September 18th at Holly Hill. And we will do a tour of that facility first, and then we'll move right into the town hall. So the tour is around the 5 o'clock hour, 5:15. And then the town hall will start at 6. And then the next month in October, we'll move to Merwin. And we'll make sure that this data and this information is splattered everywhere so that people are very aware. And we just encourage you to invite your family, invite your neighbors, tell your friends. We had a great turnout for August 6th. We had about 42 individuals that came, and then plus our staff. So a little bit over 60 people were in this room on August 6th. So we know this is an important topic. We know also in the surveys that we got back, and you'll hear this next week at the CAP meeting when they present, but we had over 1,600 people participate in the survey with our internal stakeholders in the July survey, and then there were about 400 community members. And so we've gotten huge turnouts with the surveys that we've done with facilities. So we know this is a hot topic, and we're so glad to have that data. And the CAT team will be here next meeting, which is August the 26th, to share all their findings with you and their recommendation. So, and I know you're anxiously awaiting to hear their report. So with that, I will pause and see if you have any questions.
I think in the next survey that you do, it's very important that you do some kind of data merger, because they were complaining on West Clermont community about they had 3 or 4 kids in the district and their phone was blowing up, email was blowing up. This lady said, I'm trying to conduct a meeting and I get a call on a blog about it, and she said it was very disruptive for her, and she was very upset. And so we need to make sure the next survey we do that we're cognizant of how many students are in that family, that we don't send them 4 and 5.
Yeah, I think, I hear you, and that there was definitely some glitches. I'm not sure it was one for each kid. There was like literally a problem that based on a button somebody pushed, instead of it being 1, it hit like 3 or 4 times. So we had a technological glitch, because we typically do just 1 per family. Okay. So we have improved our systems. We certainly apologize. I know that's annoying, and especially during this election season, we know people are going to be hit up. So we try to be very judicious and not overwhelm in the texting. We just know, what was fascinating about it is one day we sent it out as an email, and the next day, we doubled the responses immediately because it was a text. So we want to take advantage of it without annoying people. So I appreciate the feedback. Thank you.
Thanks. And I want to say too, I appreciate this roadmap report. This is really a phenomenal thing that you did. I've never seen anyone in this district ever do anything like this. So it's kudos to you and your knowledge and your leadership ability to do things like this, and I appreciate it as a board member.
Well, thank you. It really is a team effort, and it's important to us to kind of lay the breadcrumbs and the trail that we don't want to have any surprises. We want to make sure we're very transparent about what's happening and the impact we think it can make. And so it is a tool for us. So I'm glad that you like to read it, and I hope others read it. We would love to get lots of people reading the roadmap report. Okay. That's it for me.
Thank you. We'll go to Treasurer's Business, item 8.01, have another fiscal minute. The topic of this one was presented to me and asked if we could do something to help explain the difference between an operating levy and a bond levy. I know that was questions that were really coming up at some of the community meetings that we were having. And so I'm just going to take a couple of minutes, and I say just a couple of minutes because I know probably some administrator out there is timing me as I go through this, so we'll keep the task with it. So if the board will remember, at the retreat that we had back in July, one of the slides that I presented was really about our levies and our millage, and where do they come from, and really what they do. And there was three. There was the operating levy, which is really dollars that go to our general fund, and what were the passages that constituted that. We talked about the permanent improvement fund, which our PI fund really holds in it the district's inside millage. The inside millage is 4.2, of which we dedicate 3.7 mils to the permanent improvement fund, which really was has the designation of paying for the high school debt that was issued to build that high school. And then the other half mil is for our maintenance fund for our OFCC schools that were built, and that's ongoing. The third category was the bond levy or bond retirement fund. That's 1 mil. That is to retire the debt for Amelia and WAT, and though that debt goes through 2036. So getting to operating versus bond, what is the school district operating levy? It's a levy that's a property tax primarily, could be an income tax, but primarily a property tax levy to fund the day-to-day operations of the school district. So it pays for the teachers' salaries and benefits. It pays for our custodians. It pays for all the operating expenses around that classroom to make things happen, like the utilities. It also pays for the extracurricular activities. So to keep our doors open, that's really what the operating levies are for, okay, to keep us an ongoing business, keep our expenses, to pay for our expenses with that. How's it calculated? So it's the taxpayers vote on, or the citizens vote on millage. Okay, so the amount of an operating levy is typically expressed in a mill. So on the ballot it would be for 5 mils or 3.9 mils, etc. 1 mil is really 1/10 of a cent. Okay, so 1/1000th per dollar of the assessed property value. So the assessed property value is really the market value times 35%. Okay, gets our assessed value. That is on residential, agricultural, commercial, and industrial property to do it. In our district, our total valuation is about $2.1 billion. We saw an increase in the 2023 valuation of about 30%. So to the homeowner, they have a $200,000 home. We multiply that times 35%. That gives us an assessed value of $70,000. That's $70,000 if there was a 5 mil levy passed. You take that $70,000 and multiply it times 0.005, so that homeowner would pay $350, okay, to do that. Okay, how's it collected? Annually, December, January, the county auditor sends out the tax bill. On that tax bill, it's got all the overlapping government entities, and one of those is the school district. And so on that bill, the property tax is paid to the county auditor from the property owner. The county auditor then collects that and then distributes that to different overlapping governments such as the school district. So again, if we look at our school district, if it has a valuation of $2.1 billion, 1 mil is going to generate $2.1 million for the school district. Bond levies. Okay, so let me go back. So summary with the operating levies, that's millage that is really dedicated to the operations of the school district to keep the doors open. Okay, salaries, benefits, supplies, anything that's needed to educate our students within that school. Bond levies, primarily for facilities. They're for construction of a new school building. They're for the renovation or for additions of existing facilities and to upgrade the infrastructure and technology. So they're really for capital assets, big ticket items, okay? It's a way for the school district to borrow money and then over a longer term, pay that back to investors, okay? So that's specifically what a bond issue is for. On that ballot language, they're going to tell the citizenry that the school district would need X mills, and it's really for a bond issuance of a certain dollar amount, okay? How's it calculated? 2 steps to that. So the first thing that's done is there's a resolution of necessity that the board would approve, send that to the county auditor that basically says, hey, we are looking at having a bond issue of so many millions of dollars, and we expect to have that paid back over a period of somewhere between 20 and 37 years. We would state the years. And the county auditor would go through a calculation of just like a mortgage, okay, just like a homeowner's mortgage of saying, okay, if this is the total principal or the amount that's being borrowed, and if we can pay that back over 30 years, on average, here's the millage that's necessary to pay that back. So that millage would be established. To the homeowners, it's a very similar calculation, that millage we determine what that millage is. The homeowner, in the example that we used before, it was a $200,000 home. If the bond issue said that they needed 3 mills, or we needed 3 mills, it would take that assessed value times the 3 mills, or 0.003, back to the case, $70,000 times 0.003, $210 a year would be on the tax bill assessed to the homeowners. Over time, as the homeowners or the property owners, if it's commercial industrial, as that valuation increases, okay, depending on the level of that increase in the district, the total in the district, the millage may go down, but that yield or that assessment to the property owner in dollars probably is going to remain the same, okay, to do that. Bond levies, how do we collect it to the district? Kind of show you the green, let's look at the green arrows first. So basically, you know, if a bond issue is approved, we would go out to the financial marketplace and ask investors to invest in the school districts, and that investment is in the paper of a bond. So they would buy the bond, that money would go to the school district would take those proceeds from that bond issuance and pay contractors to build a school or to renovate a building or to improve our technology, okay, to do it. One of the keys is the average life of those assets that we're either building or purchasing should be about the same average life of that bond issue. So if we're going to pay it back in 30 years, that asset should last us at least the 30 years to do that, okay? 2 purposes of that. A is, it's just that we want to make sure the asset lasts as long as that, as the borrowing, but at the same time, we'd want the property owners who are making use of that to pay for it too. So property owners may come and go, so it's kind of spreading that cost over the property owners over that length of time. How does that bond get paid off? Very same way. The county auditor would take that millage calculation, put it on the tax bills, okay, assess it to the property owners, they would collect that. Homeowners would pay the county auditors on their tax bill, the county auditor would take that funding and give it to the school district. The school district, following the blue line there, would then pay the investors back, they would pay that bonds. We pay our bond issues twice a year, once in December and once in June, okay, to do that. That's how it's paid back, just like mortgage is paid every month, our kind of quote-unquote mortgage is paid twice a year as we go through that, okay? This slide was also presented at the retreat, and I think one of the things, and like anything we do, nothing's really simple. I kind of showed you those blue and green lines, and that's kind of a simple way of doing it, but really to issue bonds, it's much more complicated and more things to be considered as we go through that, okay? So, kind of in summary, operating levy fund, they really support the day-to-day operations of the school district. A bond issue, okay, through a levy, it's really to finance the long-term capital needs of the school district, such as new school, replacement school, an additional school, renovating the school, or improving the infrastructure as we go through, okay? To be clear on one aspect, and I'm going to go back to this slide, because I know there was a lot of confusion when I came here. There was some feeling with people that because we did not pass a bond issue for the high school, that somehow mysteriously, it was for free. Nothing's for free, right? Okay, the bond issue to pay for the high school is really being paid out of our permanent improvement fund, which is the district's inside millage, okay? So that was the source of revenue, and through resolution, the inside millage was really dedicated then to pay off that bond issuance, okay? There was some additional revenue from TIFs or so that were identified, but it's primarily the inside millage that does it. Because of the manner, the way that bond issue was done in certificates of participation, that if for whatever reason in the future, if the inside millage that we had wasn't enough to pay for that, then it would go back as an obligation of the general fund, okay? Kind of started out that way in the beginning, all right? Because of the increase in valuation, because the inside millage is a fixed amount, okay, there are actually, the inside millage is yielding more than what that debt schedule calls for, okay? So I wanted to clarify that because it's a little bit of a hybrid, okay? The inside millage isn't voted on, it was really given to all overlapping governments decades ago, okay? But that's what was used for the high school. So we'll post this out on the website, for people, but I think the last statement there is kind of important, that we're providing this information out there because we know that people need to make decisions in our community. We want them to be supportive of it. We believe and know that they need to understand things to really truly be supportive of what we're doing to it. Okay? Questions on that? I know I went through that kind of fast, but I was under a time calendar with the team here. Is that good?
Again, Mr. Romano, this type of information is very helpful, I think, for us as board members and even the community to understand. I know when I first came on to the school board, you touched on the topic of the high school, like that was very confusing how that was bought and paid for. And so this type of stuff is really, I think, beneficial for us and the community. I appreciate that.
Well, you weren't alone, because when I came in, I had to get that understanding too, so
Yeah.
that is there. It was unique, and it was a decision that was made at that time, and a good one. Okay? All right. So the other questions on that? Okay, if there are, let me know, or if people in the community have a question, please have them let me know. Okay, let me go to, a nice positive thing that happened with last week is 2 weeks ago, myself, the Assistant Treasurer Terry Johnson, and our bond counsel Brad Rui were interviewed by Moody's Credit Rating. It was kind of an impromptu thing. We were notified about 3 or 4 weeks ago that it was going to take place. periodically, they look at the government entities, choose ones to look at doing the rating on, and it was our turn. No, timing was good. They did increase our bond rating, improved. If I were to read a statement and, because some of the statements are, well, why did they do it? One of the rationales, or the rationale was, actually, it was increased increased to the issuer, that's us, the school district, to a AA3, and so it went from an A1 to an AA3, which is good. So the issuer rating reflects the district's improving financial position, with reserves expected to remain above 40% of revenue. I will tell you, they have their own proprietary calculation of how they arrived at that number, okay? And that's theirs. At least through fiscal '25. Fiscal 2024 at the year end, at that time from the 5-year forecast, estimated to reflect a sizable $8 million general fund surplus. It actually was $8.5 million, the actual number. And the fiscal 2025 budget also forecasts positive operations driven in part by significant property tax growth. So they also look at the economy within the school district and those valuations. It cited residential income as being 100% of the U.S., and the value per capita is less than the $90,000, but both which are solid and somewhat trail peers, but they're at good levels. It said enrollment has declined in recent years because the district has phased out open enrollment to focus on residential students. So although it seemed to go down, it was positive that our own students within our school districts is growing. Management expects ongoing residential development in the area to support a stable to growing enrollment trend going forward. So the stability is not just, for our enrollment, but also within this community, which I think is a positive thing. So very glad that the rating review took place. Very glad that the Moody's saw the positive financial position of the school district, of the economy that our district lives in, and the fact that our student base, although it seems stable, it is somewhat growing because that open enrollment kind of 200 some students went out, but it was backfilled by our own student population. So that is a very positive thing as we go forward. Time means everything with some of these things, and as we kind of look to the future, I think it's a very positive thing that happened. If there's any questions on that, let me know. We can dig further, but we did get our own announcement out about that. It really is about the credit worthiness of the school district, so it's a very positive thing to have happen. Okay. Any questions on that, Rady?
No, I was just going to say, even though we had that hiccup last year, it's still, Moody's still believes, and we are still a good investment, and we are solid and sound, and the money that we have, and you've done such a great job forecasting and managing what we have up to this point, that they still feel like we're a good investment, and that
Yeah.
was a good time.
Yeah.
It's
And
good.
they were thorough. I mean, I'm glad you mentioned that because they were pretty thorough on their interview. They have all our financials, they have all the audit reports, they have all the information, and between Terry, myself, and Brad, the nice thing that was said to us is that, we were ahead of their questions and our responses, so, which I felt really good about, to do it. But we live and breathe that every day to do it. Okay. So want to welcome Cassidy to our team. I know it was, today was her first day, and although I say sometimes in jest that, the true test is that she comes back tomorrow morning, so, but we're glad to have her on board, and we really look forward to having her here with us. Just want to make one comment. We talk about our 2030 plan and strategic plan, okay? And I think it's really important that the strategic plan comes first, and then, you have this plan, then everybody goes back and says, well, how are we going to fund this? How are we going to do it all? So at the same time we do a strategic plan or that 2030 plan, we need to really do a 2030 financial plan. The 5-year forecast is not a financial plan. It is a forecast of what we believe would happen given some current conditions and given what we project into the future. The reason why we're doing the 2030 financial plan is really two reasons. One is to parallel that 2030 strategy, okay? If the superintendent and the team is putting together what we want that future to look like, we want the financial plan to really reflect funding that and doing that, okay? And so that's going to be there. We know that there's decisions that need to be made in the future, so there's going to be a 2030 plan, and it may take 2 courses, you know, depending on what may happen up the road. So we'll plan on that as we go forward with it. How the 5-year forecast and the 2030 financial plan are going to be connected is the 2030 financial plan is going to be even more detailed. That's going to be our roadmap. We're going to roll that into the 5-year forecast, okay? So they will reflect each other, okay? So it's not the forecast turning into a plan. It's going to be the 2030 plan that's going to reflect what our strategy is and also be built into that forecast. And it'll identify, you know, the high tide and low tide, where things are at. It'll also identify, okay, here's some point where we may need to do something and have some decisions made. Okay, so just want to make that clarification. There's 2 documents, and as we go forward in the future, they really need to reflect each other with it, okay, to do that. So we're developing that now, building that now. We want to make sure we put the right thought process into it. We talked to the leadership team and asked them, hey, as you look out within your areas, okay, what's coming that we need to plan for? What additional things do we need? At the same time, what are some things that we're doing now that we may not be doing in the future? Okay? It's always easy to think about things you want to add. Sometimes it's difficult to think about things that need to go away. But both of those are in play as we do that. So there'll be more coming about that. At the same time, if there's any input from the board on those things, you know, please give that. Don't wait till it's done, right? You know, if there's some things in the financial planning that we need to consider, you know, that we need to know that.
Well, and we're bringing it in September, later in September.
Yeah.
And then you'll come again in November with your forecast.
Right.
So.
The forecast should reflect that plan. Okay. And it's not, one thing as always, okay, as you go forward with the plan, it's just like a strategy plan, okay? If you put it in concrete, you'll be disappointed. So we're not going to put it in quicksand, okay? But know that as we go forward and as things around us that we can't control change, then we have to adjust to it, okay? So, but it will reflect, you know, the strategy that we go forward with. Okay, good, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Romano. Looks like we'll be moving on to board comments. I'll start with Mrs. Spencer.
Thanks, I always get to be the first one. Well, welcome back, everyone, to their school year. I know I had to go back to work too today. So everybody's back into the routine of going to bed early and packing lunches and all that stuff. And we're excited about the new year and what it's going to bring. I know there was a hiccup over the summer and the news came out, but I feel like we're solid, and Dan has done such a great job of keeping our district solid financially, that I feel like everything's moving the way it should be moving forward in the educational world. And I do want to say something about the survey that was sent out. I don't know if everyone read all those comments, but I personally read every comment that was written on that survey throughout. I had a couple of days after vacation that I sat and I read it, and I appreciate everyone's comments. I can see some things that we need to do better at, absolutely. And I appreciate the comments of the community, and I would appreciate any input that they would love to share with me. Just email me or us. It would be great if you have a comment or concern or something that maybe you don't understand about the district. So, but be assured that I read every one. I'm not sure how many people did, but I absolutely read every one of the comments. But I appreciate it. I'm excited about the school year.
Thank you. Ms. Sanborn?
Welcome back to the teachers. You are the crux of this school district. If we didn't have teachers, we wouldn't know what to do. We wouldn't be able to run this school district. We wouldn't be able to meet the needs of these students and these children that come to our school district on a daily basis, because they come with different challenges and different needs, and it's nice to have staff around them that can help them, that can meet their needs and meet their everyday expectations. that I'm sure that they have, and I'm sure that the parents have expectations of the teachers, and they try to get into the school to figure out exactly what's going on. And I'm glad that there's processes and procedures in place so that the parents know exactly what their students is being taught, and that they will have a successful and meaningful school year. I got the opportunity to go to Pierce Night Out and Union Township Night Out, and it was overwhelmed with students and families, and it was a phenomenal experience. And I think that the kids had a good time. The parents had smiles on their faces, so it's kudos to the school district and the district office and the leadership of Mrs. Adams that make that happen, and it's really, it's kudos to you. I really am thankful that you are here and that you see what needs to happen and you make it happen.
Thank you, Ms. Amber. Mr. Chenoweth?
Well, as a parent of young children in the district, this is always a bittersweet time of year because summer never seems to last too long. But my kids got to meet their teachers today, so that was cool. My second grade teacher, my wife said that that was her 8th grade teacher when she was here. So that's pretty cool that we have teachers dedicated and staying here that long. That's a testament to our district. Another testament to our district is how smoothly we run when we get back to school. I always hear horror stories of throughout this week of other districts starting, and it's just pure chaos. But I feel like every year we start smooth and things run great, and we know why, because we hear the work you guys are putting in through what you guys presented tonight, and yeah, it's just.
Hopefully you didn't jinx us, just.
I was thinking the same.
I know, like.
No. We can't jinx what we got, just with all the hard work we put in, so.
I agree.
The real reason I'm excited for this time of the year, though, is it's football season. So. Excited for that. Who day?
Thank you, Mr. Chenoweth. I'll start with kind of piggybacking with the theme that we've been having this evening. So I'll start with just by saying greetings to the West Clermont School District community. Over the last several years, the district has done an excellent job engaging with the community through dozens of town hall events, focus groups, community surveys, and much more. The district has received thousands of comments and invaluable feedback from our community. In order to sustain our district's progress, we will continue to evaluate and solving the challenges facing our aging and overcrowded buildings. It is paramount that our community members have access to reliable financial and facility data. This information will serve as the cornerstone for informed decision-making, enabling us to make financially responsible choices. As social media replaces our traditional news sources in terms of popularity, the accuracy of information has diminished, making it increasingly challenging to discern between factual news and, quite frankly, fake news. The same digital platform that facilitated global communication has also sowed seeds of doubt and disseminated misinformation. To ensure accuracy, it's important for our community members to fact-check information being created and posted. This can be accomplished by visiting the district's website, our official social media sites, reading the roadmap reports, and asking questions to information@westclair.org. Again, that's information@westclair.org. Our CAT team has been working hard to compile all of the information gathered in conjunction with the current realities and our vision for the future of West Clermont to provide a path forward. It is clear that we are quickly approaching an inflection point for our community and our district. The CAT team will present their recommendation at the August 26th meeting, and we encourage the community to attend. These next few months are going to be critical when it comes to receiving final guidance for the community before we make decisions that will impact the future. With that being said, I encourage everyone in our community to step up their engagement. If you haven't been to a town hall meeting or a building tour or participated in a focus group, now is the time. You are the ones who are shaping the future of our district. We are in this together. And it is exciting that we are coming to a point where we will move the district in a direction that reflects the values, wants, and needs of our parents, staff, community members, and most importantly, our students. I continue to believe that fiscal responsibility and transparency are essential to building trust and confidence in our school district. By demonstrating our commitment to these principles, we can ensure that our students receive the highest quality education while keeping our community well-informed and actively engaged in decision-making process. Working together, we can ensure that our district has the resources to provide our students with a world-class education, making sound financial decisions. And again, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to the community for their continued support of our district. Again, just to reiterate, our next board meeting is August the 26th at 7 p.m. And then as Mrs. Adams had said, our next town hall meeting will be on September 18th.
Hold on, I just turned the page, because I thought we were on a different
Jotted down
page.
the 18th.
18th.
Yep.
At Holly Hill.
5:15.
Yes, it's a Wednesday.
September 18th, starting at 5 p.m. at Holly Hill.
Thank you.
So that is what I have for this. Thank you. Okay, sorry, so at this point,
Yeah, we do.
it looks like we do have a need to go in executive session for the purpose of considering the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee, and to consider the investigations of charges or complaints against a public employee, official, licensee, or student. So at this point, I will put that out in the form of a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Sanborn. Is there any discussion on that? Okay. Mr. Romano, roll call, please.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Ms. Sanborn?
Yes.
Mrs. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Chumley?
Yes.
4 yes.
So at this point, will we be going into executive session?
We don't have any business.
We won't be coming back. We don't have a business, so no action.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.